It's November 9th, 2021. This is the meeting of the Southfield Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not to be considered as a community meeting. There is one opportunity for public participation during the meeting, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will listen to comments but may not respond during the meeting. If you wish to address the board and are, well, today we're not participating physically due to unforeseen circumstances. Please submit a comment card. If you wish to address the board and are virtual, please raise your hand when public participation arises on the agenda. So just a note to the community. We had to meet virtually due to some facility issues that we had or have experiencing actually across the district. So what we wanted to do is we still wanted to make sure that you had access to us and we had access to you. So we are using the virtual platform on this evening. Roll call. My name is Charles Hicks, and I'm the board president.
Daryl B. Joyce, Vice President.
Ashanti Bland, Board Treasurer.
Amani Johnson, Board Trustee.
Yvette Ware Duvall, Board Trustee.
And I
I
believe
don't
we
see-
have, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Green.
No, I was gonna say, do you see any other trustees?
Yeah, I'm looking through now.
I do not see any in the participant list.
I'm looking at attendees as well. I do not at this time, but if any additional trustees participate, I will announce as they join the meeting.
Okay.
Um, Pledge allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
I'm sorry, Board President, did you want me to announce Jennifer Green, Superintendent, and minutes will be
Oh,
taken by
sorry.
Laura Norris. We're also joined by most of the senior executive team this evening and our student board reps. So excited to see them.
But my apologies to all. Um, so at this point, if we can recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States
United
of
States of
America,
America and to the
to the
Republic
republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
of
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty.
justice for all.
Yeah, that was a good attempt. So we love the country, so we'll do better. We'll do better. Board matters. I did have a board matter, trustees. As you know, this week we have the Michigan Association of School Boards meeting. They refer to it as ALC, which is the Annual Learning Conference. It's a conference where board members from across the state converge with MASB to get continued learning. Because we as trustees have to make sure that we stay current on trends and laws and all things that are, as a governing body, we need to try to stay as close to. And so that meeting is happening this weekend. Many of us are attending. We did get a document for the delegates assembly, and what that document has, it has a variety of resolutions. Some are continued resolutions, some are updates to various bylaws, and then some of the items, MASB has given their perspective on things they want us as a collaborative entity to weigh in and give our either our alignment with them or our suggestions for possible change. So the document that I provided to you all this afternoon gave MASB's lens of we would like to proceed with the following. As an example, just so you have a point of reference, one item that was in the document, just so that the community has some kind of context on what kind of things they're asking about. There's a section under advocacy, and they weigh in on things like school prayer and homeschooling, financial disclosures, kindergarten programs. They're also weighing in on what's your perspective on beginning school and overturn trying to get a recommendation to overturn the statute so that schools, Dr. Green, correct me if I'm saying it right. I think it's starting before Labor Day.
It affords school districts the local control, the board's local control over selecting the start day for school. The current legislation states that districts have to begin after Labor Day unless they receive a waiver, of which Southfield currently has.
So using that as an example, MASB wants to proceed with giving more power to local boards to govern themselves, and that being an example, giving us the flexibility to determine when we start school for our district. So that's just an example of multiple items that are listed within the document. Again, they lead off with, here's what it is, and MASB urges or suggests. So what they're looking for us to do with our delegates is to make sure that our board is in alignment with the items that they've identified, and so that when we actually go into do our voting later on this week, that the delegates of this board will go in with the guidance that, yep, we're aligning, or there's some space where we may not align. So what I'm asking the trustees is to give a conditional approval for the delegates to align with the recommendations of MASB. And as you look over this over the next couple of days, if there's things that warrant or cause concern, we can make sure that we bring those concerns up during the meeting or prior or before the meeting. So at this point, I'm looking for guidance from the trustees. Do you all give the delegates identified the approval to act on your behalf and align with the recommendations of MASB? So I guess I'm looking for, is there any opposition at this point?
None here.
Okay.
No, sir.
None for me.
Excellent. Okay, so at least that gives us, clarity on how we should proceed going forward. I'd also like to commend today, um, you know, vaccine, as you all are made aware, has been made available or beginning to be made available to one of our most vulnerable populations right now, our students who are age 5 to 11. And on today, in partnership with Oakland County Health Department, Southfield Public Schools helped to lead the charge in making sure that those who wanted to have accessibility to that vaccination for our students available. And I witnessed firsthand with Trustee Bland, Dr. Green, and others, many folk from the community that took advantage of that. Now, I will also say that I was a little bit saddened that more of our students within our district didn't take on this opportunity. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to um, raise your child. I'm just caring on them like I care on mine. And I just want to make sure that they have the opportunity to take the vaccine as they so choose. So for those who took it, cool. Those who didn't take it, I understand. But like I said, we're not pushing one way or the other. We just want to provide options, and the option is there. So I commend administration. I commend the county for helping make those options available.
Board President, if I may
Yes.
just add to that, we had approximately 300 appointments, and they were all filled by this weekend in leading up to the clinic. when we partner with the health department, it's important that our families and our communities know that we always get the information and push it out a day before. The county pushes it out to everyone. So once it's released to the entire county, their rule is if you live in the county or work in the county, you have access to any of their clinics. So that is why we ask people to be proactive in completing their appointments sooner than later when we push it out the first time. I just wanted to lift that.
No, that's very important to lift. So just wanted to make sure that, I guess, note to community, when these opportunities arise, if you want to take advantage of those opportunities, you got to get on it kind of quick. So stay tuned as future opportunity is made available. Trustees, do you have any other board matters at this time?
Board President,
Yes, ma'am.
I just like to piggyback off of what you just said, how awesome it was to see so many from the community take advantage. I also would like to just say, give a big shout out to Coach Marshall and the students, the football players who represented us so well. They were so amicable. I heard people saying how nice the teenagers were, which we don't always give teenagers credit for. So thank you for coordinating that and representing Southfield A&T and our district so well. It was nice to see the trustees and their families there, just leading the way and sticking around and encouraging kids who sometimes were a bit apprehensive to get the shot. So to all of you, thank you. It was really nice just being able to see our little ones get vaccinated today. The other thing I wanted to mention was just safety. So to the community, we know that it is difficult getting in and out of schools every morning and every evening, but I am going to urge our community to slow down, pay attention to pedestrians, be kind to one another. I think it's becoming a problem for many of our children and our parents that walk to school every morning and get picked up every afternoon. I'm just asking that we put safety first and pay attention to those crossing streets and things of that matter. So that was my board matters.
Any other board matters,
Yes, sir.
trustees? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I would like to bring to the attention of our community and our parents. It was mentioned on the Lathrop campus that we have a traffic light at our main entrance, which is just east of the tennis courts, where most of the traffic comes in for the MacArthur parents, that there was not a signal for the children who are leaving, as we do have some parents that park on the other side and want the children to walk across 12 Mile. Keep in mind, traffic is flowing quite fast down 12 Mile in the excess of 50 to 60 miles an hour. But there are lights there to let people know when to cross and when not to, when the hand is white and when there's the little person that is amber. I also urge parents to pay attention when the children do need to cross, and if they're not paying attention, please proceed with caution. Not all of them are paying attention. They're very eager to get home. When we're turning right, please pay attention. For those that are turning left into the campus, please pay attention. I also know that there was a concern as we had an accident, probably the first accident that we've had over the course of 5 to 7 years that the Lathrop campus has been there with University and MacArthur. Not one that we've had on numerous occasions, but we did have this one. So we are working on plans to make sure that we communicate effectively with our building leaders, as well as pulling in other individuals to assist if we do have situations like that. I would like to thank the trustees that were on hand to give heads up to the rest of us that can lend a hand. I appreciate some other officers that came to help. I appreciate some of the security guards that came from the Southfield A&T campus. But as I mentioned, do have these situations. We are working through them. But parents, please pay attention down at the Kroger when we've got a huge pickup going on down there as children are crossing the sidewalks and the driveways. Please slow down and
Thank you, Trustee Ware Duvall. Trustees, any other board matters at this time? Well, I did want to take just one moment of personal privilege, and I just wanted to thank all of you. As you may or may not know, November 2nd, I ran for city council. And, throughout the campaign, I just explained to folk that simply I was raised here, I stayed here, and I serve here. I mean, I've had many opportunities to move my family anywhere around the country, but there was a lot of people who poured into me here in Southfield that I wanted to do the same thing for others because I was raised to inspire service to the public's interest. As you all know, my mom was a servant leader in this community for years. My brother, we were just raised to give back and not just take. And throughout the campaign, I purposefully didn't bring any of my campaigning to this board table because I felt that I wanted to keep that separate. Um, I'm looking forward to the leadership that was chosen. I'm hoping that they will influence and make change to the community. I'm hoping for more alignment between our district and the city, and I'm fully supportive of their effort. I was 161 votes short of being elected, so when you're that close, you wonder, well, if I'd have done this and done that. I said, no, I'm good. I did everything that I felt that I should do and could do, and I'm hoping that there's more collaboration that we can get more things done to benefit our students. And just want to say thank you to all those who supported and all those who offered encouragement and words of wisdom after the fact. And stay tuned for other things. Let's help move our city forward. So just wanted to say thank you. And with that being said, let's move over to the most important people on this call, in my opinion, the report of the student board representatives. Up first, we have Ms. Davis from Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology. Ms. Davis, are you there?
I don't see her, President Hicks, and I looked in the attendees list as well.
Okay, how about Ms. Payne from University High School Academy?
Hello,
I-
I'm here.
Please proceed.
All right, so October was a very calm month. Pretty much all that really happened at university were several more organizations such as Greenhouse, Art, NSB, We Accept You, and NHS are officially up and running. And all of those clubs, we've established club schedules, leadership positions, and future activities. And on October 13th, Uni administered our first standardized testing of the year with the PSAT for underclassmen and the SAT for upperclassmen. And since it was Michigan College Month during October, our counselors hosted many senior meetings on college readiness as well as insight into the application process. Jostens also visited our school, and most, if not all, the seniors ordered their, diploma, cap and gown, all those things to prepare us for our transition into college, which is very soon. And we also last week did our first virtual Friday as our transition back into a sort of hybrid schedule for the deep cleaning of the school. I think that was very effective as it gave us a way to reset for the week. And it also, a lot of my teachers reported being less fatigued since they didn't have to make the commute to school, since a lot of them do drive far to go to school. So it's really beneficial to everyone, it seems, at my school. And lastly, Southfield Public Schools hosted their homecoming dance last Saturday, which was a lot of fun. I was there. It was very put together, and I'm very glad. It was very like safe, very coherent. Yeah, and I like the turnout with the COVID test and everything. It just made me feel very safe, and it was just very conducted in a very well manner. And our card marking closed on November 1st, which really solidifies like the transition into the new school year. We're a quarter in, and I'm very excited for everything that we have left to do this year. Thank you.
Ms. Payne, I want to say thank you for your report. Not only did you give an update on what's happening over at university, I really honed in on the part that you gave us your opinion, because you are the voice of our students, and you represent how they feel about things that are being, you know, put to them, including the remote Fridays. So I appreciate that feedback and your advocacy on their behalf. At this point, trustees, did you have any questions for Ms. Payne before we excuse her for the evening?
Board President, if I may add to some of what Ms. Payne shared, because there's some other pieces and it was a perfect lead in on your behalf relative to student voice. As everyone has been made aware, Dean Williams is leaving in December. It is a significant void in our district. Having said that, I've been working closely with her on some transition plans, and we are actively seeking the voice of those that are going to be greatest impacted. This past Monday, the department chairs led the staff meeting to garner interest from those in the rank and file to see what the teachers there want in their next leader and what model they recommend moving forward for the duration of this year. The student council will be meeting with our students at the U to get their voice into the conversation. And then I and Dean Williams are scheduled to meet with the parent group coming up soon. So we're just going through each stakeholder group to make sure that all voices are in the conversation as we move forward. But I wanted to lift that piece because of the student voice.
Excellent. I wholeheartedly agree. Any other questions or comment from Ms. Payne?
Ms. Payne, I just would like to say that I believe I can speak for all of us that we are also very glad that your extracurricular clubs are back. I think that is awesome. Congratulations on a safe homecoming and very good report this evening. So thank you. That was very refreshing. It was good to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
Now, one final thought. Treasurer Bland had mentioned that we have maybe a retreat, including our student reps. And I thought that was a very excellent idea so that we can better hear, the pulse from the students, to make sure that it kind of goes both ways, right? So that we can learn from you and as you learn from us. So stay tuned for that coming up at some point soon. We have to coordinate your schedules with our schedules to make that happen.
Oh, that sounds very interesting and very fun. I'm very excited for that. Thank you.
Excellent. So give us some ideas on things that you may want to talk about as well, right? So it's not just us, we want to hear from you. So stay tuned and have a good night.
Great. Thank you. You all have a great night.
All right. Action items.
Board President, through the chair, can I interrupt you for one moment?
Sure.
We couldn't let this meeting go by. Unfortunately, we're not in person, but you celebrated something very special. And we have to embarrass you for one moment by saying happy belated birthday. We were going to do it in person, but it didn't work out. And I was trying to see if any other board members were going to come on before we did this. But I just want to say from all of us, happy belated birthday. I hope that you got a little R&R. You made a valiant effort in your race to become a council member. We're glad you're still here. And I hope that you enjoyed your birthday. I had cake and like balloons, but I mean, we're ready.
Oh, Hey, I saw my buddy today, your daughter. So that, I'm all good. Miss Ray of Sunshine, she is. She came up and she almost broke a big dude down. She got all emotional. That's my buddy there. But no, I appreciate the well wishes. It was a milestone for me. I turned 50 on November 3rd, so the day after the election. As I told the trustees, win, lose, or draw, I was on a plane. So I got on the plane on my birthday, celebrated it up until this morning. So thank you for the well wishes. Much appreciated.
No problem.
Okay, action items. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes from October 12th, 26th, or 28th? Hearing none, Ms. Norris, if you don't mind, I don't see board secretary on the call.
Board President, she sent a message that she would not be in attendance this evening.
Okay. If Ms. Norris, if you don't mind taking roll on her behalf, please.
Sure, not at all. President Hicks,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Treasurer Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
and Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve report 6026, talent management personnel action report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
It's been properly moved and second to open and approve report 6026. Are there any questions?
I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe it was number 11. Who will be his direct report or their direct report?
Dr. Green or team? Well, actually, wait a minute. Not sure if
Yeah.
you.
I obviously don't have the same 11 that she's referencing. However, I can provide the org chart.
Are you at 11 on the agenda?
I'm on the most recent, correct?
It's different, I think. I'm seeing what you're saying, Dr. Green.
I'll share my screen and show the report if you would like,
Well,
or no. The one that we're voting on.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
I would rephrase my question to number 7.
Number 7 reports directly to our Executive Director of Operations, Ms. Felicia Venable.
Great, thank you.
And actually, you approved this hire last week. This individual has started, but the start date was pushed back 1 week, which is why it's on the personnel agenda, personnel action report again tonight, just to keep you informed of the changes that are being made.
Thank you for the clarity.
Any other questions at this time? Hearing none, Ms. Norris, please call for the vote.
President Hicks,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Treasurer Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall, Trustee Ware Duvall. Am I just not hearing her? Sorry.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Unanimous.
President, before you go to the next action item, I did want to lift that I also spoke with Trustee Rice offline, and she is not well this evening. So please keep her in your thoughts, but I did want to note that for the official record.
Absolutely. Thanks for lifting that, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her speedy recovery. Report 6027, second reading and approval of policies. The chair entertains a motion to open and approve that report.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to open and approve 6027. Any questions or additional changes to those policies? Hearing none, Ms. Norris, please call for the vote.
President Hicks,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Treasurer Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Wirdavall,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. Informational items. Dr. Green's cybersecurity presentation.
And trustees, you will notice this evening that the majority of the agenda is going to be the team presenting to you so that you can see their expertise. And this one that is coming up now is very critical, as our insurance company has told us, and all school districts, if we do not address the cybersecurity issue that's happening on a local and national level, that school districts will not be insurable in the future. So I just wanted to lift that on the front end so that we are paying close attention to what Mr. Prescott is sharing. So Mr. Wes Prescott is here to present. He will need the right to share his screen.
Good evening. Thank you. And yep, I've got the right to share. So let me share screen. Get this out of the way. So, whoops, I'm sorry. Let me go back. So good evening, board, Southfield administrators, and public. If anybody has any questions at any point, please feel free to stop me and ask any questions. There'll also be an opportunity at the end. As Dr. Green had mentioned, cybersecurity is kind of at the forefront of everything that we do these days, especially in education. Since COVID and going remote, the number of cybersecurity attacks against K-12 and educational institutions has increased. So we've had a focus on cybersecurity in Southfield and at Oakland schools for a number of years. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today and some of the things that we have implemented and are planning to implement in the future have come out of previous cybersecurity audits and exercises that we've done. Some of them are go hand in hand with some of the insurance company requirements of things that we need to have in place. So I'm going to go through and talk about briefly some of the cybersecurity initiatives that we have in place and some next steps. So first, there's a couple different areas or three different levels of cybersecurity. One is the user, so that would be our staff and students, and that's kind of the first line. The next level would be our district network, and then the next level would be our wide area network, which is the one network, and our internet service provider, which is Oakland Schools. I also have on here an incident response plan. You won't see a slide with incident response plan. I don't want to share what the plan is publicly. We have a plan at Oakland Schools, and we're developing a plan for each of our districts individually. In the event that there is an incident, we have a plan in place on how to respond.
So Wes, if I could just lift into the conversation, board trustees, you may recall that was part of the law that was put in place relative to school districts developing safety and security plans, which is why we couldn't discuss some of the other pieces that led us up to the other features we put in place. So at a future meeting, if it is the desire of the board, we can go in a closed session to discuss some of those pieces.
Yep, and I can share, if you have questions about some generalities of the plan and some of the things that are in place, I'm happy to answer as much as I can. in a public forum. But again, you don't want all of your response plan out for the public. It kind of defeats the purpose and gives those that are looking to exploit the district a leg up. So I'm happy to discuss in the proper setting. So first of all, end user, staff, and students in our district, some of the basic controls that we currently have implemented are password complexity rules. We have antivirus and malware protection on all of our district devices. We have scheduled automatic installation of high priority updates. One of the things that we're actually looking at is we've learned recently that those individuals or entities that are looking to exploit organizations are targeting the low and medium priority updates more and more, because most organizations have always historically patched first and foremost the high priority updates or the high priority items, and tend to not as quickly implement some of the low and medium priority updates. So we are looking at a plan and reevaluating our plan for updates, and that's something that is coming kind of just in the last couple of weeks, that some of that has come to light. So so that one is kind of ever evolving. We have email spam detection, identification of email originating from outside of the domain. So anything that is sent to somebody or to a user that comes from an external source, it's identified in the subject of the email. It states, this message originates from an external source. So that's one good protection to have in place relative to phishing scams and attempted email compromisation. So we also have implemented passphrase implementations for passwords. We used to have some basic complexity rules. I think you had to have a password that was 8 characters and had to have a capital letter and a special character. We found going through some of our cybersecurity audits that that is no longer one of the best practices. So the best practice now is having a passphrase that is easy to remember but difficult to guess and more personalized. So not using password 1234 with a capital P, which we see quite often. So again, password security is crucial, although in the future, passwords are going to become more obsolete as there's other ways to authenticate. And then ongoing communication related to best practices on email and internet safety. The district is currently undergoing, or we just started, you'll see under some of the, whoops, I need to move my little screen. Some of the next steps. So 2-factor authentication, that's actually being turned on or implemented for all staff tomorrow. It's using a program called Duo, and when staff members, the administrators and central office have had it in place for a week or so now, and it is rolling out to all staff tomorrow. So when they sign into their Gmail account, they're going to be asked to verify that it is them. In the program is called Duo, so it's an app that sits on your phone, or it can text you, or it can call you. We also have some other ways for those individuals who may not have access to a cell phone. So I mentioned this will affect the Board of Education as well. You guys have Southfield email accounts. You have sensitive data in there, and we want to make sure you guys stay protected as well. If there's any questions about that afterwards, or just let me know, and we can help get you set up if you're not already.
So Wes, I'm sorry, and I'm not a trustee by any stretch of the imagination. However, we had to make some difficult decisions today due to building issues and infrastructure issues in the community, whereby we took our 2 senior high school campuses remote for the next 3 days. Given that this is to be fully implemented tomorrow, might this interfere, or can you assure us that it will not interfere with the teacher's ability to log on to their classes to ensure that our students have real-time instruction?
Yep. So the one thing I can tell you, if a staff member, we have sent out the notification and the instructions on how to enroll for the last couple weeks. I can get a report as to how many have enrolled already. If there's somebody who hasn't and they go to log in tomorrow for the first time, they will be directed to enroll when they go to log in. The enrollment process, and I'm not making this up, takes about 30 seconds. If we could, let's talk about time. If you want, can we talk about timing after the meeting if you want to give me a call?
Absolutely. We want to make
Okay.
sure that everyone is ready to receive instruction. So yes, we'll
Yep.
chat offline. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And so email it's gonna be turned on potentially for everyone tomorrow, pending a conversation after this meeting. And then one of our other systems that we're going to implement two-factor authentication with in the next couple weeks is MyStar. Those two systems have a lot of sensitive data and critical data, and having those compromised would be a great would affect the district operations greatly. We're also looking in the near future to potentially implementing on the finance system as well. There's some upgrades that are going on to that system that will allow that to be easier to implement. So that will be something coming down the road as well. The district is partnering with their insurance company. The insurance company is providing a phishing campaign service through Secure Halo. That service has started. There was a phishing campaign. I think it's going to happen quarterly with Secure Halo. So there was an initial email that was sent out, and we did get a report back of how many users were successfully phished, how many clicked on the link, how many just opened the email, how many provided critical information. And Dr. Green and Mr. Ingram, I believe, have that report as well. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, or I could share some of the statistics. But we'll do that quarterly. And the hope is that as we go through these exercises with Secure Halo, we see a decrease in the number of users that are successfully phished. I'm not certain that quarterly is enough. So we do have Oakland Schools is working with another company. For not all of our districts have partner with an insurance company that is providing a phishing campaign. So we do have another solution for those districts, and we may implement that in Southfield as well to get just some more data and give some more opportunities for training for the staff. And then one of the other things that we're looking at is EDR implementation. So EDR is endpoint detection and response. And what that does is it scans the network for any device that is on the network, and it reports any malicious activity that could be occurring on that device. It also, gives a notification if there's a new device or a non-district device that connects to the network, and just gives us some more information on what's out there and what's connecting. Does anybody have any questions on that one? Okay, hearing none.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Prescott, and this might not be relative to this particular product, but when we have students in school, and you mentioned it'll alert if there's a new device, probably only district issued, but can this help with devices that are on campus with students in hand and with their media while they're on campus? Does any of this product offer that type of security?
When you say help with any of their media, can you clarify a little bit?
So as our students are in camp or on campus and they're doing social media,
Mhm.
taking pictures, sending pictures, that might not necessarily be appropriate in our setting. Would this type of product, or it was not?
No, so we do have content filters in place. We have content filtering at the district level on our firewall. So any device that is in district gets filtered through our firewall. We also have another product called Cisco Umbrella that is kind of an added layer to that filters devices when they're not on our network either. So we have Chromebooks that go home with students. We have laptops that go home with staff. Actually, it's more students, I should say, than staff. But on student devices, we have Cisco Umbrella installed, which previously there wasn't really a good way to filter and I guess filter is the best word, filter student access when they were not on campus. But as we have seen during the pandemic, students are at home learning with district devices, and we needed a way to make sure that we were keeping them as safe and secure as possible. So Cisco Umbrella does that. On a personal device on our network, there's not a lot of that we can do outside of education and teaching best practices and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Understood.
However,
Thank you.
Wes, there is board policy that speaks specifically to student usage of technology and if it leads to any activity. So I ask that all in attendance review board policies, specifically the 5,000 category, because that is the category applicable to our student body. And there can be consequences and will be consequences for those who use it inappropriately.
Yep. And the students also sign and agree to an acceptable use policy in district as well. And that policy not only covers a district device, but covers the district network. So if a student is using a personal device, but the district network to do something inappropriate, that acceptable use policy would cover that as well. Are there any other questions on the first slide before I move on?
Wes, you just said something about a student's personal device, but the district's network. Could you just explain that at a very high level, what that means for our parents in our community, just so they understand?
Yep. So if let's say, most likely scenario, student brings a cell phone to school, connects to either the guest or the secure wireless network, and post something inappropriate on Twitter or Instagram. Although they used a personal device to do that, they use the district network. So there could be consequences to that action then because of that.
Thank you.
Welcome. Are there any other questions on that one? All right, so next we'll move on. Kind of the next layer is the district network, or what's called the local area network. So some of the basic controls that we currently have implemented, I talked a few minutes ago about a firewall. We have that in place. We get traffic logs. We get notified if there's malicious activity. And when I say malicious activity, typically what a firewall does, if somebody's trying to take down or disrupt a network, they use something called directed denial of service attack, or a DDoS attack. In that case, they flood the firewall with information and it can't function anymore, and it essentially shuts down the internet. So we do have a firewall in place, and we do have protections in place to mitigate any attacks on the firewall. And we've gotten pretty good about mitigating those types of attacks, where in the past it could take 2 or 3 days to determine where the traffic is coming from and successfully block it. And the district network would be down for that time. We've decreased that time to about 15 to 20 minutes typically. So it's fairly successful. Is it still impactful? Yes, but not nearly as impactful as it has been in the past. We also have secure and guest wireless networks. The guest network doesn't have access to district resources. So if I'm on the guest network, or I come in and connect my device to the guest network, I'm not going to have access to servers, to security cameras, to HVAC systems. I just can't get to those from there. I would need secure network access, which requires a district issued account. We also have VPN for remote access. So anybody that needs to, the best example is the business office needing to access the finance system. The finance system is not accessible from outside of the network. So if, obviously during COVID, when people still needed to work but couldn't be in the building, and even prior to that, working in the evening or on weekends, those that needed to be in the finance system, it's not the only one, there's some others, but that's the best example, needed to have VPN access. And we control who does and doesn't have VPN access, and it also has two-factor authentication implemented. One of the other things we have in place is software management system. That's our client management software. So it maintains an inventory. We know what devices are on the network and what devices are in districts. And we know the hardware and software on those. And the other one is we have a master image for Windows devices. So we re-image computers, student computers usually every summer, kind of wipe them clean, staff computers every couple years or as needed. So some of the next steps for the district network, we are currently undergoing a cybersecurity audit, and anything that we uncover from there, which they've already uncovered some things in some districts, we're going to implement those recommendations as well. Are there any questions on this slide before I move on?
No, sir.
Board
Okay.
trustees, I know this is a lot of information, but it's a requirement that we make sure that not only the trustees are fully aware of what we're doing regarding cybersecurity, but that our community as a whole is also as a requirement of our insurance. So thank you for bearing with us.
Yes, thank you. So then at Oakland Schools on our wide area network, some of the things that we have in place, patch management, like I talked about before, the pushing out of critical updates, they're automatically deployed. Data recovery, so we have backups that are stored at multiple physical locations that are not connected to each other, as well as in the cloud. And the backups are protected with unique administrator accounts. So user accounts, there is access control in place to create user accounts. The HR department probably in all districts grumbles about that a little bit because it is a process. But that is one thing that we do to ensure that those accounts that are being created are actually approved by the district and needed. So all of our admin accounts, it's access to systems is controlled on an as needed basis. So if you don't need access to a system, you're not going to have it. We have two-factor authentication. And then we also have, I'm going to skip C for a second and go down to number 5. So a security information and event management system, or a SIM. So that monitors the network for any malicious activity. So we actually get an alert when an admin account is created or a user is elevated from a regular account to an admin account. And those are some of the ways that that somebody wishing to gain access to the system, those are some of the activities that we would typically see. So that's a huge piece in helping maintain security. So some of the next steps, one of the recommendations out there is to store backups across multiple operating systems. We do have them stored in 3 places now, so our backups are very secure. That is one thing that a lot of organizations do, and we'll continue to look into. So the cybersecurity audit that all of the districts that we support are undergoing is using a company called CyberForce Q, and some of the activities that they're doing is penetration testing, both internal and external. So without any information about our organization or our network at all, they try to break in, and they do it both internally and externally, from the inside and outside. And they give us a report back and says, here's how we got in. Here's some of the things that you need to work on. Here's some of the things that you're doing really well. So that's ongoing. Once that is complete, we'll get an audit, or we'll get the audit report, and then we'll start implementing. We've already implemented some of the things that they found that were high priorities, or I shouldn't say high priorities, but needed to be taken care of fairly quickly. So they're also testing some of our applications for vulnerabilities, and then we'll get a report of findings once the audit is complete. And then the only other item was the incident response plan. We do have a plan in place at Oakland Schools, and we're working on the development of the plan for our specific districts. So Southfield, I support a few other districts, and I have a template in place that I'm using for all of them. So we'll continue the work in that area. Does anybody have any questions? Again, I know it was a lot of information, and I know it took a little bit of time, but I thank you for bearing with me. All right,
Thank you,
hearing.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
More information will be forthcoming, trustees.
Awesome. Thanks, Wes.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Dr. Green, I don't know if you need me to, but I'm happy to speak to the next one as well, the next information item when we get there. I think it's
Yes,
technology.
we are heading there. I didn't know if board president was going to move to the next item, but I was going to call you back. So just stay there.
Yep. I'm going to close the door, but I'll be right back.
Oh, we're ready for you whenever you are.
President, for the minutes, did you want to read what that is?
Yeah. Information on item report 6028, technology purchase for K-5 classroom Chromebook lockers.
Yep. So, so one of the things that we have, that we've implemented, obviously in response to the pandemic, but we were moving in this direction anyway, was a one-to-one program for all of our students. We had that in place at the high school. As we had to shift to remote learning, it became a necessity, and it continues now that it's been in place for a year. It's kind of shifted the way that instruction occurs. So there's obviously a need for every student to have a device, and we do have devices for every student. One of the needs that were identified in the kindergarten through 5th grade classrooms was the need to have someplace in the classroom to store and charge devices when they're staying at school, if they're not being taken home. So in the past, we'd had these large bulky carts that would sit in the classroom, took up a lot of space. Those are not really relevant any longer. So what we've come up with is it's a little locker. It's not real big, but it is on wheels. It can be moved around. It can come apart into 2 different sections, but it holds 32 devices, and it will be all K-5 classrooms will be equipped with a locker that'll hold 32 devices to charge and store. The cost for them is in our budget. We budgeted for that this year, and the purchase, the vendor's gonna pre-wire and put together all the carts, so we don't have to, or the lockers, so we don't have to do that either, which is fantastic because that takes a long time. Are there any questions?
Hey, Wes, the only question that I have is, we have a couple different types of Chromebooks.
Mhm.
Does this account for the different outlets that are required, or plugs?
Yeah, so the K-5 classrooms will all have a similar device.
Okay.
Yep.
Board President, due to the shipping delays the country is experiencing, might the board trustees consider moving this to an action item so that we can place the order to ensure that we receive these items sooner than later?
The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve report 6028 as an actionable item.
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and second to open and approve report 6028. Any additional questions on this item?
I have a question about where we're gonna store these Chromebook lockers so they don't walk away. So they're gonna be stored in the classroom every night.
Yeah, so they're not, it's not something that you could just walk out of the classroom with. It's a fairly
Large.
sturdy, heavy device. I mean, it's smaller than if you think of a Chromebook cart, it was huge and on wheels. They have wheels as well. They're not quite as big, so they don't take up as much space as we know, especially in a kindergarten or elementary classroom spaces at a premium. So we tried to find something that could, either sit on a countertop or on the floor with wheels. But they're, like I said, they're not real easy to move. But yes, they will remain in every classroom throughout the year. And they do lock as well.
I have one other question. Is there a place for the actual cords on these units?
Yep. So in the back, they're going to come pre-wired. So in the back, there'll be a power strip where the power cords will plug into, and then the cord will actually kind of stick out or be exposed kind of through the slot on the front. So when you open the locker, you'll slide the device in and then plug it in. But yes, the cords will be contained in the back of it and not accessible without a key.
Wes, will any additional electrical work be required because of the power that's being consumed?
Nope. Just plugs into a regular
Okay.
outlet. Yep.
Trustees, any other questions? Hearing none. Mrs. Norris, please call for the vote.
President Hicks,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Treasurer Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Report 6029, Bussey Center for Early Childhood Education and Vaccination Policy.
Yes, Board President, and joining us this evening is Director Janice Hill, who will speak to this policy. She did give us an update last time as it was on the Policy Council agenda. I want to lift that because of the federal government's guidance on the vaccine mandate and the new guidance having been provided to the state of Michigan by OSHA. The district has reached out to both MASB as well as Neola to see if they're drafting a policy by which all school districts should follow. That is the reason we, as a total district, don't have that recommendation on the board this evening as well. However, this is a requirement for our Head Start grant. So having said all of that, Director Janice Hill.
Good evening, Dr. Green, board members, and community. On September the 9th, President Biden mandated that all Head Start employees or staff that is funded through Head Start must be vaccinated by January 2022. So as a result, we are looking at, and I have been working with other directors in the state of Michigan to help develop the policy. We've entered in conversations with the director of our Head Start, and we have kind of come up with a recommendation that the staff would have to be fully vaccinated before January. Reason being is the concern is that if we do not require that, we might walk into our buildings after our Christmas break, and there will be staff who have no intentions on being vaccinated, and they will not be there to service our children. So if we put this in place prior to that, then we also can put a plan in place in case we are going to face a shortage with staff as a result of them not wanting the vaccination.
Director Hill, if I can just jump in for 1 second, it's also important to note for those on the call not familiar with our Bussey Early Childhood Center, and I can't imagine who that would be, given that you're known everywhere. We have babies there. We have babies as early as 6 weeks old up through age 4, and there is no vaccine for those young people. So whenever we get a positive case, based on the fact that they are always putting things in their mouths, they are in close contact with all of their other classmates, and the teachers are in close proximity to them, we have to put the entire class remote based on one case. So they are very, very vulnerable there at Bussey. I just wanted to make sure we lifted that into the conversation because Director Hill, your team has really been juggling a lot there.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you, Dr. Green, for lifting that. So are there any questions?
Thank you, Director Hill. I think there's no questions at this time.
Thank you.
Report 6030, two-way radio communication.
Yes, Board President. I sent an email communique to all of the trustees maybe a week and a half ago. We had a number of events happening throughout our district that required immediate communication between multiple parties. One was already mentioned earlier, whereby we had a traffic accident outside of the university campus. We also had a couple situations in other buildings. And our two-way radios are not in the best condition district-wide. So this purchase is being made with private philanthropic dollars, and it will cover enough two-way radios for the entire district. So we have already moved on ordering these items, again, based on the delay in receiving things, but I did want to lift it to the trustees' attention as well as to our community's attention that we are investing again in additional technology upgrades.
Can you just help me, when you say district-wide, just give me a kind of an idea of what that count includes.
We have 50 that are being purchased.
Right. I guess let me be clearer.
You mean by building?
Yeah.
So the we surveyed the principals, you may recall, as part of our emergency plan, and the principals gave us the number of radios that they had that were working and not working. So this is a complete replacement of what we have. I don't have that chart in front of me, but I will definitely provide that to you all.
So the reason for my question is more,
Do we need more?
yeah, because in my head I'm thinking we need some for our ROs. Was it SROs? ROs.
SRO.
SROs. Yeah, we need some for the SROs, of course, principals of each
AWP,
building.
yeah.
And depending on the type of building, they may have multiple APs or a lead teacher, or heck, you may need to have a backup in case one breaks, right? So I'm wondering, is that number factored into the number that was purchased, or do we need to rethink that number?
Well, that number accounts for the minimum number per building across the district. Obviously, the high schools, as you mentioned, they have a larger staff, larger population, so they will get more. But what we do recognize and will need to probably purchase more is Command Central, being JWE. As you recall, the day of the accident, my cell phone became Command Central, and I was juggling between all parties involved. So I would say that if the board is willing to make that investment in more, I welcome that. This, however, again, was covered on an immediate need.
Yeah, so that's where was going, is I'm concerned based on that incident and you having to deploy additional resources to various locations. Do we have the right amount of number to cover those type of scenarios plus for things breaking or et cetera, right? So that's my only ask is, was
I think,
this
yeah, I
comprehensively
agree. I agree, and Ms. Venable is on the call, so I'm going to ask, and from my vantage point, an additional 20 would probably be the right number, but I will defer to Ms. Venable. Where did she go? There she is. Okay.
Good
Ms.
evening.
Venable?
Yes, good evening, Honorable Board President Hicks. You're absolutely right. So this request is not only to replace, but it's also to augment existing equipment in the buildings. Maybe about a month or two ago, principals started reaching out, requesting for either repairs or additional radios. And so my office, using those numbers and those responses from principals, made this initial request for radios. It's an immediate need, right? But I certainly agree that a backup to the backup is necessary. I learned that JWE in my office and transportation do not have radios, and so we've asked that the frequency be created for our offices and even for SEC and for BUSI, and so you'll see those schools and those locations accounted for in the numbers. But it certainly is an initial request. And again, in some instances, is to augment existing equipment.
Trustees, do you have any questions at this time? Thank you, Ms. Venable.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible, based on board president's comment, that we probably do need 20 more? Can we get a full list? I see the number of units that are new units going to each school, but can we get a list of what's already in the building so we have a total count for each building? Is that a possibility? Do we know how many we have existing already in each building?
We do. We have a chart pre-COVID. We have to confer with the building level leaders to ensure that the end of the COVID. I'm ready to say post-COVID, but I know we're not quite there yet. We have to confer with our principals to ensure that that number is still accurate.
Accurate? Okay.
Mhm.
I have one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Venable, Dr. Green, are these radios comparable frequency-wise to what we currently have, or is this newer? Of course, it's newer technology.
It's better.
Of course.
It is much better.
So radios that are existing may or may not communicate with the new radios that have been ordered. Is that a fair assessment?
No,
You can
that
take it, Ms.
actually, Board Member Duvall, that actually is not accurate. These radios are comparable to the existing equipment. It's the same supplier that we've ordered the radios from. Now, you do bring up a very valid point in that what we've ordered, essentially, the vendor has told us they won't be making any more of these. This is it. And so we've gotten a significant number of them held for us in order to satisfy our immediate need. But moving into 2022, there'll be a completely different model and a different product. And so what we secure now, and if we secure by the end of the year, is comparable to what we have already in our school buildings.
What's the span of life for those units?
You know, the ones that we've ordered without abuse and dropping them, that kind of thing, they're expected to last at least 10 years. At least that's what the company has told us. And it's a local vendor, which is really nice. But it's in a school building, things happen, we work with children, and so we should account for putting together, considering a life cycle that takes into account our environment and plan on replacing them sooner.
If I can lift one concern as it may relate to the lifespan of the devices, 10 years on batteries, but that might be something that can be looked at if the battery can be replaced at a later date, just to get a little more longevity out of them.
We certainly can look at that. And I also want to just highlight the company that's our supplier also makes repairs. And so the district has historically sent these units back to the contractor. They repair them, send them back.
The advantage of having someone local.
So to the points that were lifted during this dialogue, I guess if I had to prioritize making sure that we have Backups is priority. Making sure that we have some on-hand replacement batteries would probably be value added, so that we look at this thing comprehensively, so that it's not getting this out of the current emergency, but making sure that we can kind of keep it up and operational for a period of time. Because I would hate for a device to be unavailable due to a battery having to be sought to get the unit up and operational.
So Board President, to your point, the units are approximately $500 each. This investment is a $25,000 private investment, but if we were to look at purchasing 20 more, that would be a $10,000 investment. So if
That's,
it's
I think
the
it's,
pleasure of the board, I would ask that you consider making that actionable and issuing that directive. We would be more than happy to receive it.
I believe we need that. Um,
I
I move. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I move to make the directive to purchase the additional, was it the batteries, Board President? I don't want to mess this one up.
Batteries and additional
Supplemental
devices.
devices
Yeah,
needed to cover our district per the cost that you just stated at $500 a piece.
Well, Treasurer Bland, since you are Madam Treasurer, I would
I
ask
am.
that you increase that to not to exceed 15,000. And the reason of my ask, the $500 is for the device. If we're looking at additional batteries as well to cover all 70 units, I would ask that not to
well,
exceed 15,000.
I don't think we need to have cover all batteries. I just will want to have some on hand, so that if we were to have a failure, that we
Mhm.
wouldn't be dead in the water. So
Okay.
I'll let you all figure out how many we need of what item. I just want to make sure that we have more than the minimum need to support each building and SROs.
And
And
to keep everything aligned with our finances, we will not exceed the $15,000 mark.
correct.
So
But
I
also
move to
look,
make it actionable. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Board President.
but just, of course, look for other ways that can be accounted for, not just coming from general fund. If there's any opportunity that we could pay from general fund and potentially get any grants or anything that can offset some of that cost, of course, I know you are going to look into that. But for
We
now,
are, but we're also fortunate that that $25,000 was gifted to us. So that's a
yeah,
significant investment
yep,
as well.
yep, agreed. I'm sorry, Treasurer Bland.
No, we want to make sure we get it right. I move that we make it actionable that the board approves for the administration to purchase enough two-way radios and supplemental items such as batteries to ensure that all buildings in our district have coverage not to exceed $15,000.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded to accept the motion on the floor related to two-way radio communication. Any additional questions? Hearing none, Mrs. Norris, please call for the vote.
President Hicks,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Treasurer Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. Report 6031, Bernie K through 8 temporary roof stabilization.
Yes, Board President. And Ms. Venable, I hope you didn't go anywhere because you are up once again to discuss the stabilization project.
Thank you, Dr. Green. So this board item is paramount. Bernie K8 is, as all of you know, and our community knows, received a significant investment over this past summer, and that we've upgraded the HVAC system in the building. While doing so, we realized it was evident that the roof was in a condition of disrepair and required replacement as well. Since commissioning the system and since putting in new ceilings and new lighting, We've been grappling with roof leaks throughout the building. We have an agreement with a local roofer for repairs. That's primarily there at least once a week, when it rains, making patches and repairs, but the condition of the membrane is beyond its useful life. Recognizing that next summer or next spring, we hope to bid and award for a roof replacement, a complete roof replacement. We're right now looking at just getting through the winter so that the inside is minimally impacted. So this temporary roof solution is to be comprehensive. It's to apply a membrane over the existing roof. It's to alleviate some of the tenting or the pulling of the membrane that the roof is currently experiencing. And hopefully this will keep some of those classrooms in E and F wing dry, where we have significant leaks, and then also in B wing of the buildings. I included a roof inspection report in the support documentation, as well as the scope of work for the proposed contractor, which is Schreiber Roofing, to apply the temporary roof.
Do we need to make this actionable? Or is this truly just informational?
If possible, when she mentions trying to get through the winter again, this is Michigan, winter may be here tomorrow.
So soapbox moment again for Charles for I promise you less than a minute. Our buildings are old. Many of the buildings have the same infrastructure as it was when I was in school. And as I mentioned, I'm 50 now. So we as a board need to really have some accelerated conversation on what is the vision of the district, what kind of buildings we want to remediate, rebuild, build new. We had a campaign that said safe, warm, and dry a few years back. Well, it's not just safe, warm, and dry. It's cool. It's technology. It's building the district for the future, not just to, survive and get us through the winter. Because every winter we get nervous that are we gonna have power? Are we gonna have a boiler go out? So we really do need to get some traction as to the future landscape of the district. So I know that's a little bit over a minute, but that was my soapbox. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve report 6031 as an actionable report.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve report 6031. Any additional questions?
I have one lift, if I may, Board President.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Venable, I appreciate all the work that you have done and now your team will be doing. With some of these items, if it is all possible, can you have the contractor send you pictures? Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we may need to remind the district and our stakeholders and parents what work has been done if a picture can be provided from time to time. I'm not saying with everything that is brought to the board, but from time to time, if you can have your contractor provide you pictures, that would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely, Board Member Dewan. I absolutely agree with you. Next time I can do a PowerPoint with just pictures to showcase what we're grappling with and then what's been done after the major repair.
Well, and to piggyback on that, I almost want a website that's going to store all this information, because when you're trying to quantify the reason why you're doing what you're doing, that picture will speak volumes. And, as we saw with our parking lots, I mean, people don't feel and see roofs. They don't feel and see heating and cooling until you don't have them. So we just want to make sure that as we're telling our story and making our plea, it's not just, oh, what are they going to do with that money? Well, this is what we're going to do with that money, and this is why. So I think we need to have that history so that can help tell the story.
Mhm.
The Through the chair.
Ma'am.
So I'm actually looking at the report and I'm looking at the pictures and following along. I was just about to say to the community who does not have the view that we have, it is bad and good for us we're going to approve this, I'm sure. But I have a quick question about I think it's the second page of the report. There's a replace, a restore, and a maintain for Trimco's roof condition. And it's talking about the square footage of everything that we have here. So my question to you is, based on what you saw, and based on what they're saying, am I correct to understand that it would be roughly $2.1 million for us to replace the full roof as they have quoted us based on their assessment of the condition of the roof today? Is that correct?
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what that means. However, the caveat is due to COVID, right? We're grappling with a country supply shortage. Roofing companies have gone out of business because they can't get the materials. Coupled with that is the pricing of the roofing materials. So right now, that's a price quote that we currently have. And when this goes out to bid, we potentially be expected to pay a little bit more. On average, it's about $12 to $13 per square foot, right? And so fingers crossed next year, the universe is kind to us and we don't have to pay that much. But right now, roofing and roofing materials are short, and then what is available is expensive.
And my last question, based on their assessment, is this deterioration based upon years of Band-Aids and not fixes or replacements? I'm just trying to understand how we got here.
Right.
And if they were able to determine, not that we can go backward, but what we can do moving forward so that in the next 10 years, we're not in this position. Is this just due to Band-Aids being placed over and over again and not for repairs?
It's a little bit of that, but primarily this roof is just beyond its useful life. So roofs on average about 20, 25 years. This roof was put on in 1993 and 94, if I recall. So as a consequence of not replacing it when we should have, and patching it here, patching it there, and then really not having a really good roof management system, making certain that our roofs are cleaned off. We cut back trees away from the building so that they're not leaves and things like that allowed to pool on the roof. There's a whole host of reasons why that roof is in the condition that it's in, and primarily it's maintenance, but it's also because it's done its job. We've gotten our money's worth out of it, and it should have been replaced some years ago. And typically what I'd like to do moving forward, and I hope our district supports it, is for those roofs that are replaced, we put a roofing plan in place. But then in addition to that, we need scans of our roofs to understand how much of that insulation life is left, how much moisture is in the insulation. It'll tell you how much longer we have for that roof to last before we need to replace it, and put a plan in place for doing the work.
You beat me to the punch because that was my next question. Are we looking for becoming innovative with planning for some of these infrastructure and capital improvements that we need to have in place? So thank you, Ms. Venable. That was what I had.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Norris, please call for the vote.
President Hicks,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Treasurer Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. Monthly financial report was, I believe, included.
Well, Board President, I just learned behind the scenes that they were sent to you, but they were sent to you at a later time. Therefore, I'm asking that board members have an opportunity to review them, and we bring it back to the next meeting, which I believe is the 17th. Also, that we attach them to our agenda for the next meeting so that we can remain transparent to our community.
Okay, excellent. Same with bill disbursement.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
All right, public participation. If you wish to address the board regarding a school-related issue that has not yet been resolved by school administration, please submit a comment card or raise your hand. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. As a matter of fairness, speakers with complaints against individuals are asked not to mention any persons by name. Complaints concerning employees pursuant to Board Policy 9130 should be brought to the attention of school principals or other administrators before coming to the Board of Education. Your cooperation is appreciated. Do we have any hands that I'm not seeing?
Thought I just saw one.
You did?
Mr. Ferguson had his hand raised. Oh, there it is again.
Yes, Councilman Ferguson is on the line. Can we move Councilman Ferguson up to a
Panel?
participant? Yeah, panelist. You're doing pretty good on little sleep, Board President.
Well, sometimes you get used to it.
Were you able to move him, Ms. Norris?
Having minor technical difficulty. Bear with me one moment, please.
And as we move Councilman Ferguson up, the board will be going into closed session and then coming back into open session after the closed session completes. But you all are free to stay on. Shouldn't be long, but I don't want to say that and you say, he said it was going to be pretty quick. You never know what questions may get generated during conversation. But you all are welcome to stay after we go into closed session and return. Were we able to get Councilman Ferguson? Yep.
Yes, sir. He's a panelist now.
Hello. Good
Evening,
evening,
Honorable.
everyone. Hey there, how are you? How's everybody? Good evening to the board and Mr. President Hicks. Congratulations on your pursuit in educating as well as moving our community forward. Really appreciate it. I won't take too much of your time. I just wanted to check in, listen to the board, and wanted to just extend my appreciation to the board and board members and trustees for basically putting up with me. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I did not seek a term this November. 2 reasons. I've got a 16-year-old daughter at home, and we're going to be doing the college tour this fall all the way through spring. And also, I'm basically combating semiconductor issues for the automotive industry. So my time has been very limited, and I just wanted to step back and just run that course as things happen, as well as the coronavirus. It's been kind of difficult, but I wanted to take the time to just thank the board for really putting up with me for roughly 6 years. I mean, I know that when I was elected, I came to you guys requesting a lot of things, but I hope that I did not burn any bridges with you. I felt that we were partnering in the right direction, and the key to all of this was really to just dialogue, keep the dialogue going. That's the single most important thing that any human being can ask of another human being, is to keep the dialogue going. And that's why I'm here tonight, to just keep the dialogue going. And whoever my successor is, I'm not sure who that is, he or she will come to you again and attempt to keep the dialogue going, not necessarily asking you for anything I've asked for, but just keeping our relationship strong as it always has been in the past, and we've continued to build on that. That's one of the reasons why I'm online. second reason I'm online is most of you know I'm an engineer, automotive, plus 30 years. And the company I work for, actually, Robert Bosch LLC in Farmington Hills, they are looking for interns, minority interns, and females, males. And I'm kind of here to extend a bridge to anyone who have basically graduated from Southfield Public Schools, who are in the university, that may be looking for an intern in the spring of 22. Where they're always looking for interns that have a GPA of 3.5 or higher. Worst case GPA would be 3.0 or 3.2. Just keep that in mind. And I'm accessible. So I'm going to leave my personal email address with Dr. Cheryl Mitchell as I depart. And just feel free to reach out to me, and we can dialogue in that regard. I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm one of the co-founders of African Ancestry at Bosch, where we're just trying to make inroads and right size the imbalance over the last 23 years I've been working there. So part of being a community activist is that part, and I do appreciate that. Last thing I want to cover, and it may be kind of strange that I'm offering this, but my brother, who is the firefighting chief for the city of Warren, asked me to get this word out. So they had an open house on Saturday. I think we're a little late for the open house, but he still wanted me to kind of give this information, and I've already given it to Dr. Green, and I really appreciate her graciousness to accept the email, and hopefully we can try to distribute it. But let me just quickly state this. So the city of Warren is seeking qualified applicants without regard to race or sex for the position of firefighter cadet. For individuals interested in becoming a firefighter with the city of Warren, classes for EMT Basic begin on November 29th, 2021, followed by Fire Academy in February and March of 22, and paramedic program classes in fall of 22. All costs, of course, every single cost that I just mentioned, that would be EMT, paramedics, and firefighter, will be picked up by the city of Warren. My brother and several handful of individuals, again, we're speaking of right sizing and balancing how the community should look. And a part of that is, how does your firefighters look in the community? How does your police officers look in the community? So balancing that. And of course, when you go through these programs, I think the minimum stay would probably be 5 years. So if you're accepted, if you score above 70, so it's 70 and above, you may get an invitation to join. And after going through the academy, you have to stay within the city. You don't necessarily have to live in the city, but stay on the fire department for 5 years roughly. And then at that point, you could either continue on or move on. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, thanks to Dr. Green. Thanks for allowing me to just unpack this. And I wish you all the best of success. You may see me log in here every now and again. I really appreciate it.
So Councilman Ferguson, first of all, I want to say thank you for your service to the city of Lathrop and to the overall community in Southfield collectively.
Thank you.
I respect that you're stepping back to take care of family. I mean, that means you have your priorities in order, and
Yeah.
and so I'm looking forward to much success with your daughter making her final determination on where she goes off to school. The one thing that I say, you were never a bother to us. If anything, I think you helped open up the communication channels, because a lot of folk within your community and others didn't know certain things about Southfield Public Schools.
Right.
And I think that what that did is it helped clear up some misconceptions, and it gave some clarity as to some of the services and some of the things that are offered to our students, and that many of our students are going off and doing great things after they leave our doors.
Right.
I think that where we can grow better, and I know that I listen to several folk who are running for council in Lathrop who were on the school board, and one of the things that I agreed wholeheartedly was that there needs to be more collaboration between the Board of Education, as well as municipalities. I believe that we need to have liaisons go to council meetings, and council members need to have liaisons come into board meetings to stay
Right.
plugged in and aligned, and to help make sure that the community has the right information. Because most folk buy homes based off of the school system, and the school system gives property, helps drive property value.
Right.
So there are some, some connectivities between the two. So I never saw you as being a bother. I felt that you were an advocate of our district, as well as a person who wanted to just understand better how we could work together. So it was never a bother, sir.
I
Um, I
appreciate
do
that.
I do also appreciate that you bringing the possible opportunity for internship to Bosch, as well as to Warren. Even though Warren is outside of our district, many areas have a desperate need to have more equality and equity
Exactly.
for their area. And if we can be a pipeline to other areas that are underrepresented, definitely we're interested. So definitely we appreciate that information. Um, Trustees, did you have anything? I know we went a little bit over. As you all to, as you all to bear with us, as you
Thank
know,
you.
we have this communication. Trustees, did you have anything for Councilman Ferguson or Dr. Green?
Board President, again, not a trustee by any stretch of the imagination, but I did want to lift that although I've been in this seat for this being the fourth year, I am still diligently working with a lot of our alumni, particularly those that are coming out of school. And there's a young man I'm working with who is coming out of Purdue, who I will be connecting you with, Councilman Ferguson, because
Okay.
he has his degree in engineering. And if I'm not mistaken, he is wrapping up a PhD in
Oh,
his
it's
near
good.
future. So definitely want to connect you with that young man
That's
who's an alum.
perfect.
Also, in regard to providing equity everywhere, we are still creating a direct pipeline here in Southfield, whereby we are starting our own fire academy with the Southfield Fire Department, and that will be underway this year as well, so that we can continue to have that pipeline and replenish those within our community as well.
That's great. I love that. Really appreciate that. We definitely need that pipeline for sure.
So definitely keep us in mind as other
I will.
opportunity come your way.
I will for sure.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
again. Talk to you later.
Do we have any other hands, Mrs. Norris?
I do not see any.
Okay. That being said, the chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
See where Duval, the exact verbiage is actually on the agenda because it's closed session.
Section 8C allows a school board to meet in closed session for the purpose of strategy and negotiation sessions connected with a collective bargaining agreement, and either party requests a closed meeting.
Do we have a support to go into closed session?
Support.
Support.
Mrs. Norris, please call for the vote.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Hello?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's Divinity. I'm so sorry. I was
You're
supposed
so
to be in the meeting at 7.
Oh, I didn't know
we're
you
in
were
the middle.
on.
I'm sorry.
So
My head was hurting and I took a nap and I guess I overslept.
Ms.
Well,
Davis,
obviously I overslept.
Ms. Davis, they're in the middle of a vote, so let them get through the vote, and then
Well, we're
we will,
gonna entertain
yeah,
that report. Yes, ma'am.
that report. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Ms. Norris, please.
Trustee Ware Duvall,
Yeah.
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
President Hicks,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. So once we hear from Ms. Davis, we will go into closed session. Ms. Davis, if you can please give your report for student board rep.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, here it goes. Okay, first I just wanted to address the issues that Southfield has been having. First and foremost, starting with the bathrooms and sorry, the body waste not being disposed of properly and in places is not like it wasn't supposed to be. I'm not sure why this was happening. Something about TikTok, but in order to prevent it, all but 2 bathrooms in the school have been closed. And while this may be effective right now, I don't think it'll be a good long-term solution due to how many students are in the school. There have also been some other issues within the school, such as fighting and then the complaints about the tardy policy in the morning. But Mrs. Hall, our principal, is doing her best to try and resolve these issues to the best of her ability. She has held 2 meetings with student leaders in the school, and they have talked about ways that the issues can be resolved. She is truly making an effort, and hopefully everything starts moving in a positive direction. We actually had meetings today about ways to resolve the issues in the school. In other news, the seniors and freshmen took the SAT and PSAT on Thursday, October 28th, and students, especially seniors, are very eager to see their scores and hopefully submit them to colleges for acceptances. This past Saturday, November 6th, was our long-awaited homecoming dance, and our students showed up and showed out. For the sports, the girls volleyball team season has bittersweetly come to an end. They played districts on November 3rd, but fell short of the victory against Renaissance. On November 8th, the girls basketball tryouts began, along with a bowling team meet and greet. On November 9th, today, actually, competition cheer tryouts began. On November 15th, the boys basketball tryouts will begin, along with the boys swim team meet and greet, and the swim season starts on November 22nd. And it has also been brought to my attention, the boys basketball team was wondering if they would be allowed to have spectators at their games and like what the restrictions would be for that. That's it.
Well, thank you, Ms. Davis. As I mentioned earlier, the voice of the student is important to us. You are the liaison between your building and the district. So you advocate on behalf of your peers. So the concerns that you lifted will be discussed, and I'm sure that they'll be addressed so that we can continually improve the day-to-day activities within your buildings. So I don't know, Dr. Green, if you wanted to talk with Ms. Davis offline just to get a better idea of the items she's lifted and to potentially talk about next steps with us at some point. But again, Ms. Davis, thank you for your continued advocacy.
Thank you.
And Board President, to your point, I have been spending some time there at the high school, meeting with various stakeholder groups as well. So we will be lifting all of those items back in a report to the trustees and to our community through some parent forums as well.
Excellent.